WHF would like to recognize Dr. Valentin Fuster's outstanding contribution to cardiovascular health with the Lifetime Achievement Award 2024. Thank you. Thank you. And to learn more about the reasons for this award and the vision of Dr. Fuster for the future of cardiovascular health, we'll have a chat with Shuli to learn more about it. Thank you.
Please take a seat, and we're going to have... Thank you very much indeed. And congratulations on the Lifetime Achievement Award. How do you feel?
Good.
Excellent. Since it was announced that you were going to get this award, I've had so many people here coming forward to tell me about your awards and achievements. Frankly, if I tried to list them all, we would be here all night. Just off the top of my head, you made seminal discoveries about aspirin and persantin. You paved the way for antiplatelet therapy, did groundbreaking work on the pathogenesis of heart attacks. When you look back at your long and stellar career, what are you most proud about?
The teaching to young people. To me, many times I have been asked the same question, and is perhaps, I wouldn't like to say I had impact, but at least I tried very hard to, in the field of education, and particularly motivating young people for their future careers. Without any question, this is where I feel, perhaps I feel the best by thinking on that aspect.
And that's right, you're an educator, and you did a lot of work with children in primary schools, which led to perhaps one of his greatest legacies yet, which was the creation of a Sesame Street character named after you, or almost named after you, based on you. But this idea of educating and nurturing young people, that's something you're very passionate about.
Well, we have to distinguish education in motivating young people in their careers to what I do with children. The stories that I began to a career of investigation about thrombosis, arterial disease, and so forth. And actually, when I was president of the World Heart Federation and previously of the American Heart Association, I began to realize that we were talking about disease all the time, but not to understand health and to prevent disease. And so I changed completely my career about 10, 12 years ago, which is to use the most modern technology to really understand health. And in that context, I became, something happened about 4 or 5 years ago, and that is you're working on health, on all the defense mechanisms that lead to disease, that prevent disease or lead to disease. But the question is, mortality is increasing and technology is moving very fast. So I began to realize the paradox that we have today, and that is the advance in technology by the increasing in mortality. And the question is, working on health was not enough. So I began to look at education, and then I moved into children. So I was recruited by Sesame, and we changed Cookie Monster from eating cookies 7 days a week to 1 day a week. But this is not trivial, because children began to ask why, and then we began to get into promoting health in children, and now we are dealing with about 50,000 children around the world, all randomized studies in which we teach health over a period of 6 months, and then we repeat this again and again in the first 20 years of life, because sustainability is critical. But at the same time, we learn something with these projects. All these projects were randomized studies in the school systems, and that is the control groups did very well. So we are forgetting about the environment, that people talk about health. So now what we are doing is to really move into sustainability, to repeat, and children really capture. And the exponential impact of repeating the same thing 4 or 5 years later is very important. But to have an environment of health is critical. So what we are doing now, we go to families in corporations or workers, and we are presenting over a period of a year. We teach health with Muppets and all of that. Images is very important. Parents, children, and grandchildren. What I'm trying to tell you is that, to me, if we are going to solve anything in health, a part of trying to fight the world of consumption, poverty, access, is education. And education, to me, if you don't go to children, I think you lose a lot when you go to adults. Children are probably the best recipients. So basically, when I talk about education, one thing is to foster careers in young people. The other is to go into health and see what can be done.
Yes. And I think that's a really interesting view, and one that many experts say is the correct approach in terms of improving health right from a young age. You mentioned technology and innovations, and I'm sure you've witnessed a lot of changes in the cardiovascular field as far as technology and medical innovation is concerned. What do you think about that, and what innovations do you think will have the most impact on cardiovascular health in the future?
Well, this is historically. I mean, if you look at decreasing mortality, for example, in the United States in the last 3 decades, these are intensive care units, open heart surgery, tobacco, I think, was very important, and so forth. But now that we talk a lot about basic science, how we can neutralize RNAs with inclisiran or antihypertensive drugs to improve adherence, polypills, the artificial intelligence that you have been talking about, genetics. This is all fascinating, but we are not solving the world that we are talking today here.
Yes.
It's not. In other words, what we are seeing is increasing in mortality, the issue of access to very expensive medications, for example, the issue of poverty. And I think we really have to, all of us, in me, I am a scientist, so I work with technology, but I have to realize that we have a problem. And then the education. We advance in technologies. Everybody looks at the phone. What is going to tell you these social networks, and half is false. What is the education? So we have problems to solve. And I will add another one, and it's the environment. Pollution and warming is as bad as everything we can talk today. So I think we have challenges, and the World Heart Association, I hope, will approach these issues very aggressively.
I mean, the environment is the summit opened with very clear evidence between the links between cardiovascular health and the environment. So this is something that people are beginning to be aware of and know. Do you think the world is moving fast enough to try and resolve these problems, or are we failing in that?
I don't know, we can reflect on something, but perhaps there's no time to think. In other words, I think one of the problems today is you catch a train and you don't know where it's going. Let me tell you something I learned personally a long time ago, who really worked for me personally, is I spend 15 minutes every morning that I do nothing. I look like a stupid person, just sitting there and thinking. That 15 minutes to me is half of my day. And I learn a lot there, because only that time that you are not, it's like you stop the clock. It's ideal to stop the clock. And I think we are in a world that we are all rushing. It seems to me it's all, you don't know where you are going. So I think what we need is to perhaps stop the clock and be able to, all of us, think, even a few minutes a day, where we are going, what can we do that we didn't do. So as simple as I am telling you, this has been for me very important.
It's very good advice. I would like to ask you, because I know that there's a lot of young professionals coming into the field of cardiology, people perhaps who are looking at you here now and hoping that their career will also be as meaningful and achieving. Do you have any words of advice for young professionals coming into cardiology now?
Well, when I see a young person that comes for advice, or a young physician that wants to be a cardiologist, I say 4 things. The first thing is to be lucky you reach that stage, because there are very few people in the world. So stop criticizing and be creative and give to the world. That's the first thing I tell them. The second issue is ambition. Ambition is a problem. What you have to know is what is your talent. And once you know your talent, you will succeed. So you need mentors and tutors. And this level of young people, they don't feel they need mentors or tutors. They look for people, what I will do tomorrow. This is critical. What is your talent? And put you there with that talent. The third thing is work as a team. I mean, today, any individualized approach is a suicide. We all have to go for an objective and a cause. And the fourth thing, very important, is resilience. And that anybody who thinks that life is all fantastic, none of us sitting here know that. It's difficult, ups and downs. And the question is how you overcome, knowing that all of us are human and are going to have good and bad moments. I tell this to the young people. So don't think that you are getting into a career, everything will be fine. You will have your car, you will not spend time as we did as fellows in the hospital for 3 or 4 days on a row, and you're going to have a glue. It's difficult, and you have to teach this to the young people. This is what I tell them.
It's been really interesting getting your views, and it doesn't sound like you're going to slow down anytime soon. I'd like to thank you very much, educator, philanthropist, pioneer, and of course, past president of the World Heart Federation. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Valentin Fuster on his Lifetime Achievement Award.